off more than any other thing the great prosperity in this country was the GI Bill and the bills after World War II that made it easy for GIs to buy houses, to get into houses with low mortgage payments. So what I'm going to do as soon as I get in there is I'm going to start working on the tax code to make it very, very unprofitable for these big companies to come in and buy, millions of houses. And they shouldn't be. Our children should not have to compete against these giant, billion. And of course, the way they do it is because they have better access to capital, because they have lower interest costs. So they, of course, can go and take all the land in our country. And by the way, there's now all kinds of articles that show that the best farmland in Europe is Ukraine. And our arrangement with Ukraine is we're going to give you all this money. You have to pay it back. And the way you pay it back is through austerity programs, beginning with something they call the land market, which forces all the farmers in Ukraine essentially to sell their land to BlackRock. So, the Ukrainian people, 400,000 of them have died to protect their land from the Russians. Their land is being taken from them by BlackRock. That the system is rigged, and it's rigged. Thomas Jefferson's vision of our country was he said the only way democracy would survive is if it was based on widespread diverse ownership of land by tens of thousands of independent freeholds owned by families, each with a stake in our system. And we cannot afford to have a single mega corporation essentially own all of the, they're buying all the farmland too, to own all our single family homes, and our kids are having to compete against these behemoths because they have those low costs. I'm going to change the tax code to make it very, very difficult for them to compete with our children. And also going to make a 3% mortgage available to Americans, as many as I can, hopefully in the millions. And the way that I'm going to do it, and without raising the budget deficit, which is really important that we get off of that addiction. And the way that I'm going to do that is, that if you have a rich uncle and he'll co-sign your loan, you can get a much lower rate because the bank is looking at his credit rating instead of yours. So I'm going to give every American a rich uncle. He's called Uncle Sam. And I'm going to get Uncle Sam to backstop these mortgages. And then we're going to finance those mortgages by selling 3% tax-free bonds. And we're going to give the first $500,000 to teachers. And because we need to support education, and those loans will only be available to people who live in that community and are employed in that community and remain in that community. And we're going to start the Great Prosperity Bill started with the housing boom, and I'm going to use this methodology to launch a housing boom in this country, because that's what I needed. This is what I wanted to see the people on that debating screen talk about last night, about not, instead of screaming at each other and talking about how tough they're going to be on China, on Russia, on crime, on immigrants, on Appalachia, on the environment, et cetera, to tell us, how they're going to actually return the middle class to this country and help people. And I want to hear their ideas, because a lot of them are probably really good ideas, and we can learn from each other. I think we need to start insisting that our politicians talk like that and think like that and think bigger than just, these shibboleths and platitudes and cliches that, come out of the Reagan era, and actually give us, tell us how they're going to solve the big problems that all of us are facing. So anyway, I was going to answer questions tonight, but I really want to get Johnny and Anna Christina Cash up here singing Jackson, which I love to hear from them. there's a couple of you who want to ask me questions. I'm going to go in the back afterward, and we can talk, and I'll be happy to answer any questions then. So thank you all very much.